It's kind of like an online tool library meets a secondhand listing service meets a dating app. A place that you could list any need that you have and get matched with someone nearby who has that good or service and is willing to give it to you, to loan it to you, to trade it with you, or to rent it to you, or sell it in a typical monetary exchange. Connect the Commons makes those connections for you, and because of an internal user-to-user, peer-to-peer rating system, we also connect you with people you know you can trust. These are your neighbors, your friends, local people in the area immediately around you. Connect the Commons aims to strengthen local communities and to strengthen a spirit of sharing and mutual aid. This idea is really born out of a belief in abundance. I believe that everything we need is immediately around us, but we may not have access to it. So Connect the Commons aims to help create access through communities helping each other find what they need, accomplish their goals, do their projects. It might sound like a lot of existing things, but I'm going to tell you how it's different. It's different because all of the existing platforms out there, all of which are beautiful interventions on a consumerist world, still require you to spend hours scrolling through pages of posts in order to get what you need. Or you put out there something that you have that you want to share, gift, or sell, and you may or may not get nibbles back, even though you might have seen something 2 weeks ago where someone was looking for that exact thing you had. And so there's all these missed connections happening. Connect the Commons makes those connections for you and matches you with someone who has the very thing you're looking for, or someone who wants the very thing you have. Right now, we're looking to do a 5-day sprint. Out of this sprint will come a prototype that we can begin testing and using amongst communities of real people who will start getting to connect. And unfortunately, that's also going to cost money. Because we're not going the venture capitalist route, we're not in it for the profit, we're trying to become a worker-owned co-op, we're trying to become a not-for-profit organization. And so because of all of that, we've chosen to crowdfund for that sprint. So anything you can give will help us to create this tool, which really aims to empower local communities to continue to support each other. So the idea for Connect the Commons hit me about a year ago, in March 2019, following a facilitated conversation with one of my mentors that was part of some thesis research that she was doing into how artists get the resources that we need to make art outside of perceived cultural centers, like New York City, for example. And out of this conversation, myself and this other small group of artists began to talk about the sort of informal networks that make it possible for us to make work. Things like your auntie who will sew you a costume because she loves to sew and she wants to support your work, or your father-in-law who's a woodworker and will make you set pieces, things like that. In my case, my housemate who would lend me recording equipment for a set of interviews I was doing and an ethnographic piece I was making. So these are some examples. I left that conversation thinking about these informal networks and got home and said to my housemates and my partner and the people I was living with, oh, you know what? It would be so great if there was just an app that you could put out, I need a projector for a performance piece, and you'd get connected with someone in your neighborhood who had a projector that they were willing to loan you or rent you. And I said it, and then I heard it, and I went, oh no. Oh, now I have to make that thing. And I'm a millennial Luddite. I didn't own a smartphone till 2019. I am not a techie person. So this was super overwhelming, and I put it away. I would think about it sometimes. I would get distracted by the things that I do feel equipped to handle, like the business model and things like that. And I wouldn't really focus on how to really get it made and bring it into the world. And then fast forward a year later to March 2020, and there's a global pandemic. And this thing that I'm imagining that had spiraled into something so much bigger than that. A place that you could list any need that you have and get matched with someone nearby who has that good or service and is willing to give it to you, to loan it to you, to trade it with you, or to rent it to you, or sell it in a typical monetary exchange. So imagine that in 2020, during the coronavirus pandemic. That would be so useful. And I kept kicking myself and wishing I'd built it yesterday. So it lit a fire under my butt, and here I am, working on creating Connect the Commons.